afternoon everyone. My name is Sandeep. I am working as assistant professor in the Department of Information Technology of MLR Institute of Technology. Previously we discussed the data types, variables concept, operators concept, as well as some other rules of defining the variables and identifiers and features of Python. So these are all the things we discuss. So next we have to discuss about the control statements, or we can say control flow statements in Python. So what is this? So today we are going to discuss what is the control flow statements and what is the identification. Next, the types of control statements, and then we discuss if statement, if else statement. So this is the about what we are going to discuss. So first, what is the control statements in Python? Not only in Python, generally if you take any programming language, this is important concept. What is the concept means control statements. So what is the control statements? If you take any programming language, for example, here statement 1, next statement 2, next statement 3, and then statement 4. So these are the statements are there in a program. Just imagine this is the program demo.py. So in this demo.py file, how many statements are there? How many instructions are there? 4 instructions, or we can consider the 4 statements are there. Generally, how the Python virtual machine execute the program? How the Python virtual machine execute the statements in a program? How means in a sequential order. What is that means? First, the statement 1 will be executed. Next, the statement 2 will be executed. Next, the statement 3 will be executed. After then, statement 4 will be executed. That means the statement 1 is executed. Once the statement 1 is executed, next immediately, what is the next statement we have? The statement 2 is executed. After statement 2 executed, next what is which statement is in order? Next statement 3. Once the statement 3 is executed, next which statement is in order? Statement 4. So statement like that one, it will execute in a order. So one by one. Okay, na? One by one. So this execution or this flow of execution. So what is the flow of execution? One by one, right? So this type of flow of execution is called sequential execution. What we can say? Sequential execution. But by using this sequential execution, we can develop as a programmers or as a developers, we may execute the small applications, that is simple applications, but we cannot develop the complex programs or complex applications. So that's why we have to change the flow of execution. So to change the flow of execution, we have the concept, or Python provides the concept is control statements. Okay, control statements. To change the flow of execution, we have the concept that is control statements. So what is the control statements means? The control statements is used to change the flow of execution or control the flow of execution. Control the flow of execution is called control statements. Control statements. See, as we discussed just now, by default, the programs execute each line of code in sequence. That means flow of execution means one by one. So statement 1, statement 2, statement 3, statement 4. So like that one, it will be there. So, but through that one, which type of applications we can develop? Just sample applications. But cannot develop what? Complex applications. So to develop the complex applications, or sometimes the programmers wants to develop the complex applications, and at that time we can use these control statements. Anyway, we have the 3 types of control statements. Before going to that one, what is this? So how can we change the control statements means? By using these 3 statements. That is, we have the 3 types of control statements in Python. One is selection statement. Next that is iteration statement. Next one here we have jump statement. So selection statement is also known as conditional statement. Iteration statement is also known as loop statements, and jump statements is also known as transfer statements. See, as we discuss, for example, if you take, we have to get for more clarity, statement 2, statement 3. Now see, how we are going to change the flow of execution. That means what is the changing or controlling the flow of execution means, for example, here the statement 1 is there. After statement 1, which statement has to be executed? Generally the statement 2 has to be executed. After statement 2 execution is completed, next which statement has to be executed? Generally that is statement 3. But I don't want like that one. Means after statement 1 is executed, after statement 1 has to be executed, without directly the flow will be jumped to the statement 3, and the statement 3 has to be executed. So it means what? We change the flow of execution or not? After statement 1, generally the statement 2 has to be executed. But what we did here, we change the flow of execution. How means after statement 1 has to be executed, next the statement 3 has to be executed. So what will be happen here? We change the flow of execution. It means the flow of execution jumps directly from statement 1 to statement 2. Sorry, statement 3. Right? Statement 3. That is the, see, statement 1, statement 2, and then statement 3. So directly it jumps what? From statement 1 to statement 3. How can we do that? Means by using transfer statement, or we can say jump statement. For example, we have the loop statement, that is here. Statement 1, now see, statement 1, and then statement 2, and then statement 3. So generally statement 1 has to be executed, and then statement 2, and then statement 3. But here see, after statement 1 is execution completed, then I want to execute the statement 2 repeatedly. So at that time, which is, so that means 10 times. For example, I want to execute the statement 2 repeatedly. How many times? Means 10 times. So that means statement, once the statement 2 complete its execution at one time, immediately has to be go statement 3. But here what we did, we change the flow of execution. How means, once at one time the statement 2 has to be executed, again it will be executed second time, again it will be executed third time, like that one repeatedly it has to be executed. How many times? 10 times. Then statement 3 has to be executed. After 10 times it is completed, then the statement 3 has to be executed. So this is about what? Flow of executions, or we are going to changing the flow of execution using control statements. And so how we can do this means by using iteration statements. Next, selection statements means, yes, we are going to execute the statements based on the condition evaluation, or based on the checking the conditions. So that we will say in selection statement, or we can say conditional statements, right? So anyway, we will discuss one by one. But before going to discuss about what about these control statements, we have to another concept, that is indentation. Okay, na? Indentation. What is this indentation? What is this indentation? Indentation is nothing but a space representation. Indentation is representation is what? A space. So what is the purpose of this indentation means? Generally in C programming language, or Java programming languages, if you want to represent a block, then we are going to use what? Curly braces. Then this is the what? Block of code. This is the block of code. But in Python, to represent the block of, or to declare a block, then we have to use indentation. Then we have to use what? Indentation. For example, if you take here, if, okay, na? See, some statement, so colon. After then we have to write the statement after some space from this onwards. Okay na? So this is the thing, right? Whenever we are going to write the statements with the same space, then these 4 statements represents that block or that if block. That if block. So enunciation is used to declare a block. Whenever the statements, multiple statements are maintaining the same enunciation, see, same enunciation at the same enunciation level, then they are part of the same block. Same block. So that is about what? Enunciation. Enunciation means it's a space, right? So enunciation is the most used part of the Python programming language. Generally, a tab space, or we can consider 4 space, are given to the indent in the statements in Python. So by default, how many spaces for to represent the indentation means 4 spaces by default. By default, or we can simply press the tab button, right? So this is the indentation. You will get the clarity when we are going to discussing about that examples, right? So indentation, just now, indentation represents what? A block, or it is used to declare a block. Next, see here, first we will discuss that Python, that is conditional statements. So what is this conditional statements? So conditional statements in Python are used to make decisions and execute different blocks of code based on specific conditions. Based on the specific conditions. That means if first, if by using the conditional statements, if you want to execute the statement, then we have to check the conditions. So based on the conditions, then we have to take the decisions. That means if the condition becomes true, then we have to execute one block of code. If the condition is false, then we have to execute, that has to be execute another block of code. So conditional statements is useful, are used to make decisions and execute different blocks of code based on conditions. So you have to check, or you have to evaluate the conditions. Based on the condition evaluation, executes the different blocks of code by taking the, or by making the decisions. Anyway, these conditions is in conditional statements or selection statements, we are going to use the conditions. The conditions must and should be defined logical expressions only. Logical expressions. So that logical expressions is nothing but either true or false. Sir, how the conditions will make means by using relational operators. Okay, by using the relational operators. So that is the thing. Anyway, for example, condition A is greater than B. So this is what? A logical expression. If this condition is true, whenever you check this condition, then the condition becomes true means then one block of code will be executed. If the condition becomes false means then another block of code will be executed. Right? So this is about what? Conditional statements. Now we have the different types of conditional statements. One is if statement, second one is if else statement, and third one is ladder if else statement. So first we will discuss the if statement. The if statement is used to test a specific condition. That means whenever you have to check only one condition, at that time you can use the if statement. That if the condition becomes true, the block will be executed. If the condition becomes false, we did not get any output. So here see, A equals to 33 and B equals to 200. Now if B is greater than A, that is 200 is greater than A, then what will be happen? See here, these two statements are maintaining the same indentation or not? That means the two statements are represent which block? If block. Anyway, here the condition, this is the condition. Now we have to check this condition, that is B greater than A, 200 is greater than 33. So if the condition becomes true, then these two statements will be executed. If the condition becomes false, then we won't get any output, because of here we did not represent when the condition, here we did not represent any code whenever the condition becomes false. Okay, so that is about what? if statement. See, we'll see an example, right? A equals to 20 and B equals to 10. Now if A greater than B, right? Indentation. For indentation purpose, I just click the tab. Now print hello, just MLR IT. Okay, now that is the thing. Now see, condition we have to check. 20 is greater than B. 20 is greater than B. Yes, 20 is greater than B. So that means whenever we check the condition becomes true. Now see what output we'll get. Now we'll get what? Hello MLR IT. For example, if the condition becomes false. If the condition becomes false. Now see, if A is less than B. Okay, na? If A is less than B, then what will be happen? 20 is less than B. 20 is less than B? No. The condition becomes false. So that's why we won't get any output. See? Because of whenever the condition becomes false, we did not represent any code to display the output or to display some result to the end user. So this is the one problem here in the if condition. What is the problem here in the if condition? Means if the condition becomes true, then it shows some output or some message. If the condition becomes false, it does not show any message. For example, if you take, I will explain through an example. What is the problem here? For example, username and password, right? So two text fields are there. Now whenever you enter the username and then password, if both are true, that means username and password are matched or validate, then the page will be redirected to another page. For example, if username and password are not validated, that means here condition false. So if whenever the condition becomes false, just without any message and without redirecting any page, just simply will be like that one, means then the user will get ambiguity. What happened? Whether the username password is valid or not. At least we have to show some message whenever the condition becomes false. Yes, your username and password are not validated, or username are validated, or password are not validated. At least we have to show a message. This is the main responsibility as a developer, right? Okay, whenever the condition becomes true, yes, it is redirecting that some other page that it shows some message. But whenever the condition becomes false, so we have to show some message. So that's why to overcome this problem, we have the next statement, that is if else statement. So if else statement provides an else block. What is the purpose of the else block? Means whenever the condition becomes false, the else block will be executed. For example, here see, if the condition becomes true, then the statement 1 will be executed. If the condition becomes false, then the statement 2 will be executed. Here an example. You take that age is an variable and I took the value from the user input, right? From the user. So which is that we have to here the input, by default that input, what it returns the string value. That's why I converted that string value into the integer by using int function. Now if age is greater than or equals to 18, then you are eligible to vote. Else, we have to wait up to that age. So let me see an example. Okay, now see, age int of input function enter your age. Now if age is greater than or equals to 18, if age is greater than or equals to 18 followed by colon and then indentation. For indentation purpose, here I click what? Tab. Now print what? Hello, you are eligible to vote. You are eligible to vote. Okay, next. Sorry. Else. Okay, na? Else. Now print hello, you are not eligible to vote. Okay, now so this is the thing. That means anyway here see. Okay, so let me run this program. Enter age, for example 20. Now what happened? Yes, 20 value is entered from the user and the value is assigned to age variable. Now that variable value has to be checked with 18, that is greater than or equals to. So age value is what? 20. So 20 is greater than or equals to 18. 20 is greater than or equals to 18. Yes, it is greater. So that's why the condition becomes true. So if the condition becomes true, then that if block statement will be executed. For example, my age is just 15. Now what happened? If the condition becomes false, that another block of code is executed, that is else block. As we discussed that first part of control statements. So in the conditional statements are used to execute the statements based on the conditions. If the condition becomes true, one block of code will be executed, and if the condition becomes false, another block of is executed, like that one here, same scenario. So if age is 20, then you are eligible to vote. If age is 15, then the condition becomes false, then different block of code is executed. So here, whenever the condition becomes false, as a developer we are going to display some message to the end user. So that is the thing about what? If else statement, right? Next we have, right, anyway see, conditional statements. Finally, conditional statements perform different computations or actions depend on conditions, right? So in that one we discuss about what? If statement and if else statement. If you take that if statement, it's execute the block of code if the condition is true. That means whenever you have to check the condition, if only the one, if the condition is true, that means if only the condition is true, then you can use the if statement. Otherwise you can go through that if else statement, that is one block of code is executed when the condition is true and another block will be executed, that is the condition becomes false. So next we will discuss, that is if and other control statements types, right? Thank you.